Hello, it's Raphael Gutierrez, and there's a lot I want to talk about today. Some of the stuff may actually get me in trouble with someone, but it's okay. The thing I'm, the thing I am going to answer is a question that someone asked me, and that is, can you make your ligaments and tendons stronger? And the answer is going to be in short, yes, and I'll explain to you why in a little bit. But before I do, I really want to talk about a lot of things that people tend, some of the things that do relate to martial arts that people tend to forget. And one of the things is that why people do it. Now, you talk to a lot of the guys in Okinawa, especially the guys who are over 70, 80, why they're doing karate, and they all tell you the same thing, because they want to be strong and healthy at really old ages. Interestingly, is that Okinawa is actually known as the land of the happy and immortal, and it's also more modernly, was actually called the major blue zone of the world. A blue zone is where people live longer, happier, healthier lives. Now you think about it, the place where people are living longer, happier, healthier lives, they're saying that if you want to do it, you go into karate. Interesting thing about that is there was the study that actually looked at Okinawans, talked to people, and the main person they talked to about men, how they should live and age, was the head of his own Okinawan style. And if I can't remember what his name is, slipping my mind right now, but he actually trained in karate until he was, I think, 101, and that's when he passed away. And from what I understand, he was training hard up until 101. Now, with that said, if you have an island where people are living longer, happier, healthier lives, and there's people who are living longer and longer lives, I'm telling you that karate helped them, well, you have to say that Okinawan karate is one of the things you have to at least do research to see if Okinawan karate has any benefits for longevity. Ironic and interestingly, there is none. But the people who did the study, while they did find these men who were clustered of men who did Okinawan karate, who were living a longer, happier lives, when it came to the recommendations, they recommended seniors do Tai Chi. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Tai Chi. I'm just saying, why would you recommend something from another country when the prefecture, the island where you're actually studying, has already said, this is what we do to become older? I mean, you think about it. People actually talk about the mystic in China who lived 200 years, supposedly, but we never have that written down in record. In Okinawa, we do have records that show that these people are reaching over 100, more likely than anyone else. And that has to do with a lot of things that people do. Now, again, I'm not making fun of any art, more laughing at people who do stuff without thinking. And what I mean is, a lot of people say, oh, well, I'm going to do yoga because it's healthy. And, well, again, yoga may help you stretch, may help you feel relaxed after, I don't know. I don't do it, but a lot of people do. But the question is that really giving you longevity? And we have to look at, is there any evidence for that? And besides people who live healthy, active lives, live longer, the answer seems to be, we don't know. Karate seems to be a link, but nobody studied it. Nobody apparently wants to deal with the Okinawan karate. I did talk to one researcher, and he said the problem is when they talk about Okinawan karate, there's a lot of people who misrepresent themselves as Okinawan karate, and so they don't want to tell people, yeah, do Okinawan karate, and then someone goes to a store and get something that isn't it, and ends up getting injured from it. So that's actually at least credible. But the thing I always say is, well, why not look for styles that are recognized in Okinawan karate, which are linked somehow? But he said that's a good idea, but that left it at that. Now, the truth is, there is that one thing that Thomas Paine said. People say and do stuff because that's what they've heard so many times. And with time, they actually do believe what they hear more than reality, more than the facts. Facts become meaningless because they know something because of the amount of times that they've heard it. And so we do have a lot of times, especially if we are actually trying to show people what we do. Oh, people saying, "Oh, well, that's not what I heard." I mean, there's a lot of people. I've actually been told by someone that oh, I don't punch like a karate person because my punches actually, I had someone tell me my punch was too strong to be karate. They wanted me to be stiff and rigid. Then I asked them why I was expected to be stiff and rigid. Well, because that's what they had seen and saw so long. But like I said, there's actually a lot of different things and a lot of. If you go to Okinawa, you start finding that there's a lot of different ways to do stuff, and there's a lot of different styles. And actually, what's interesting is some of the some of the styles that can trace their lineages back longest are among the ones that would probably lose in most tournaments. Tournament karate is changed, and you do hear people say stuff because they've heard it again so many times. I ran into someone who did a style of karate where they used long stances, and they were talking about how their calves were really sore because when they were doing Okinawan karate. And then they said, but the long stances are probably good because they help our legs out. Now you think about it, if your legs are sore doing something correctly, like they do, well, doing the karate the way they do it in Okinawa, then your legs are not getting the strength by doing the long stances. You need to do it the way that they're doing it in Okinawa. And I will say that every time I go, I find that they want me to move a little different, add a lot more to stuff that I never knew. I am an eternal student, and so that's actually kind of a fun thing for me. I can always learn. But that's something among myself. Now, to tell you about the ligaments, and this will be short, I'm going to use my anatomy book, and what I'm going to show you is on the bone tissue page, we have a picture here, which you can see has these long lines in it and these dark dots. Those dark dots are nuclei. There's pretty much the genetic material inside a living cell. The lines are collagen in a tissue called dense regular connective tissue. They have different types of connective tissue. You have, even in tendons and ligaments, you have different types depending on where the tendons and ligaments are. Tendons, by the way, are things that connect bone and muscle. Ligaments connect bone and bone. And so these things do have cells in it, and they will react to mechanical stressors. What I mean is, the more you use a ligament and tendon, the more the cells inside of it will be triggered to make the proteins that make the tendons and ligaments stronger. But that actually happens to a degree because sometimes people will overtrain and strain a ligament. And when you do that, you actually take the ligament and overstretch it. Now, if you take the ligament and overstretch it, one of the things you notice in the picture is that there's not any signs of blood vessels. Find it here? So if you look at the picture, you won't see any blood vessels. Now, what that means is that if this gets damaged, it has a hard time, really hard damage, it will have a hard time healing. And once you overstretch it, it will always be overstretched, and the joint will no longer stay the same way. So, how do we end up causing these cells to divide, to produce more protein, a protein called collagen, which is actually really difficult to digest, which I'll tell you something else about in a little bit. How do we get those cells to work in producing the proteins without doing damage? And the thing that I actually found is there's katas that for karate that are really important. If you're in Goju-ryu or Wichi-ryu, sunshin is one of them. And if you notice the way you use your joints in sunshin, you are putting pressure on the joints and using them a certain way, not putting the pressure on areas of the joints to cause damage, but you actually are using the support structures to pull and push to actually cause the tension on the tendon and ligaments. Now, if you're like me and you do a Shurin or Tomari version, you actually have Naihanchi. And Naihanchi does exactly the same thing. And a lot of people actually will talk about how Naihanchi and Shuri and the Sanshin tend to have a lot of stuff in common. And the way that they're using their knees, ankles, is one of them. Now, here's the thing though. When you're doing this, a lot of times people do learn katas and how to do it on the internet. And you have some people who are not skilled at teaching these katas. There's one thing where and people who do Sanshin or Naihanchi will tell you that you can feel strain on the ligaments, but it's not going to be a strain on the joint. It's not going to be on the tendon. You're not going to leave sore feeling like your joint can't move. You might feel like, okay, I've stretched something. I've actually put some pressure on that. But you're not going to feel the pain of, yeah, I just rubbed my bone and bone together. It's going to be it's going to be a soreness on the tendons. So when you do this and you practice it, be very careful and make sure you do it right with the right alignment. And for that, you do need someone who knows how to do it. I will tell you, one of the problems that we have today is tournaments, where you have people who have changed the katas to make a judge happy, and sometimes a judge doesn't know body mechanics. He's judging the beauty of the kata, what he feels is the beauty of the kata, rather than the functionality and the structure. And I'm not saying that, oh, well, he's wrong to do this. I'm just saying that, well, if you're doing that, you can end up having a lot of pain and problems later. The other thing I will actually tell you is a story, and that is Vitosu uncle. I remember last time I was in Okinawa, I read a story in a book someone had, and I couldn't find it anywhere else, where it talked about how after a few years after Itosu uncle passed away, his family went to clean the bones. And what they found is, even though all the soft tissues were degraded, the ligaments were still strong and attached to the bones. And it surprised them. And someone asked me, is this possible? And the answer actually is yes, because the protein that makes ligaments and tendons tends to be mostly collagen. And collagen is a protein many things have a hard time breaking down. This is, by the way, the same thing that you may end up having if you have a scar. It's a little harder than a lot of tissue. Those are the proteins that help you form the scars, the collagen. But the fibrous tissue, the dense regular connective tissue, is actually a specialized tissue, and you do have it there. And yes, it can be improved. It can be made stronger by certain exercises. Mostly, I would say sunshin type exercises, naihanchi type exercises. And if you do know your karate, you will see that there are other katas within there that can actually do this. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I actually have been thinking of doing a little book giveaway. I want to know if anyone can tell me what you think. Just write down on the bottom if you'd be interested in getting a free book. I don't know if I'm going to do 5 or 4. I haven't decided. I'll probably announce it in the next video. But I'm going to give away one of the Off the Rails books. I'm going to try to do it in the U.S. because shipping costs here aren't that expensive. If I send to Europe, it tends to be a lot more expensive. But if someone in Europe is interested, let me know and I'll see what I can do also. So thank you for your time, and hopefully you enjoyed this and you got something out of it. Please also, if you have any questions that you have that you think would be interesting to do on this channel, let me know and I will cover them as well. Thank you for your time.